Absolutely. He needs to be roasted on a spit for
Thank you.
saying that.
Thank you.
And I'll stick the apple in his mouth.
This is the Greg Cote Show with Greg Cote.
Pardon it.
Here's your host, Greg Cote.
I am Mr. Brightside. I'm going to start to be an optimist on the Dolphins. Okay, I am seeing the glass not half filled.
Oh my God, you're still doing this?
No. I am seeing the glass not half filled, but not completely shattered. It's leaking. It's like a third. There's like an inch on the bottom of the glass. And all I'm going to say is, without excusing the loss and the 0-2 start, I'm going to say that I recognized the Dolphins as the Dolphins today offensively. Tua, except for that, and that's the big exception, except for that last late interception, Tua played really, really well.
What about the interception in the first quarter that was called back because of a penalty?
Yeah, it didn't count, did it? What I'm saying is Tua to Tyreek Hill looked like the tandem we expect again. Achane had a good game. Jalen Waddle had some nice catches. I thought offensively they were a little bit closer to themselves. But having said that, they lost, and they're 0-2.
I want to know what your column looked like in the first quarter. Did you start writing a column when they were down 12-0? They broke the record for most consecutive drives, allowing points.
Yep.
Like, it was bleak. Like, I'm telling you, I was watching the game with a couple Dolphins fans that are kind of in Team Greg of, like, it's not that bad.
Right.
Tua's not that bad. We're not that bad.
Yep.
And late in that first quarter, they were even broken. They wanted everyone gone. They wanted to be like, everyone's texting you, Dan. I mean, Dan's texting you and I, Dad, heckling you. I'm getting texts of people like, how's your dad going to spin this? Like,
okay. You know what?
They looked awful. And luckily for you, they had a really good second and third quarter, so they actually like got a lead, but then they dolphined at the end and still lost.
They dolphined. It was a very entertaining game, I thought. It was a fun game to watch if you were like a neutral fan who didn't care who won, and it was a fun game to write about if you weren't on deadline like me. I must have written 3 different columns. At 0-12, I wrote a column. When they took the lead, I wrote another column. They lost the lead. They took the lead back. There's 2 in a. How often do you see this in the history of football? A 74-yard punt return touchdown followed 12 seconds later by a 90-yard kickoff return touchdown. It was wild.
Those 2 things, they got the lead back, and then we get the lead back on a crazy play, but it's called back because he stepped out of bounds.
Right. Yeah, which was nuts. And then right after that, they have 2 dumb penalties. They end up taking a sack. It was just such a fizzle at the end. They gave themselves a chance to win, which isn't saying a lot. That's a low bar. But compared to the previous week, I saw improvement.
No,
and I'm going to get beat. I'm going to get beat up on the Batard show tomorrow and Tuesday. I'm in, and Dan's going to beat me up because he's formulaic and he's going to say Homer Cote, and he's going to call me an apologist. But it's not a lie to say that they did make a big improvement from game 1 to game 2.
Like, look, Dad, like I have it. Like looking at that game, I'll give it to you. Like, yes, this team is capable of being the classic Dolphins that are 8-9, that middle of the road team. Maybe they make the playoffs, maybe they don't. I don't want that anymore. I am rooting against this team. I want to be the first. I want the first overall pick. I want Greer out of here. I want McDaniel out of here. I want to start over again because that's what I like. I don't think we've ever even had that. We're always the middling team, even when we've fired coaches. I mean, I guess we did have the first overall pick with Jake Long.
Yeah.
And the Tua pick was a relatively
when they could have
high.
had Matt Ryan, by the way, instead of Jake Long.
The Tua pick was relatively high when they could have had Justin Herbert.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe we've been here before, but it's just like I don't want to do the 8-9 thing again. Like if that's is that what your big argument here is? They can be an average team?
No. My big argument continues to be don't write the story of the whole season based on 1 or 2 games.
Their defense can't stop anything.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Like
their defense is terrible.
I think we saw the peak of it. Like you're right. There were a few drives today where they looked fine on offense.
Yeah.
But it's not good enough. It's not as good as it was a couple years ago. The defense is palpably worse.
Yep.
So it's
particularly in the secondary. I don't disagree.
So this is not a good team. Like I think the ceiling for this team is like 6 wins, and I want to go under there. I want to have a top pick in this draft.
what's changed in your optimism between writing your article and now? Because your article, like, it hapless, hopeless. The sky was falling last week. Now it has fallen.
Because he knows it's a crock of shit. That's why.
I know what is. What do you mean?
That you know this team's no good. You're just, I don't know what you're doing now even.
Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, I stand by everything I wrote. The sky is falling. And all you had
said
to do
it
was
has.
look.
You even looked up to see if it had.
I know I had, and what I saw was a banner saying fire Greer and fire McDaniel. Literally, I'm not even making that up. And so I think it's fair, and fair is a key word here. Okay, the fair is what differentiates a crazy impartial fan from someone like me who's supposed to be impartial and fair. What's fair is to say they've played like shit in the first two games, particularly in that first game. And there's no equivocating that. They have looked unprepared at times. There's no excuse for them being 0-2, probably 0-3 in a few more days. It's also fair to say they made a big leap from week 1 to week 2 in terms of how they played as a team, particularly on offense, and it's still only 2 games. If you want me to say, they ought to tank right now, they ought to go for the first-round draft pick, that's not going to happen because McDaniel is fighting for his job, and he's not going to tank, and he's not going to trade Tyreek Hill unless they make him, which they might.
I mean, saying they made a leap is that's a big statement. I mean, I'm just think the offense looked pretty good today? I thought it looked fine at times, but I think it relies way too hard on Achane. I think the one deep ball to Tyreek Hill was underthrown by Tua and got lucky to get received. Right. I think Tua in the pocket, I don't know if he's afraid because of the concussions that he's had. That dude does not look confident in the pocket. It's just frazzled. You see Drake May, he's looking guys off with his eyes, dumping it down, getting out of the pocket, running for touchdowns. You look at Daniel Jones, Bo Nix, Cam Ward. Did you see that sick play that Cam Ward made? Rolling out to his right, pointing his receiver that way, and then throwing across his body.
Yeah.
Like a sick, Cam Ward on that one play. Cam Ward is going to be good in this league.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that play because when I'm covering a Dolphin game, I'm not watching Red Zone.
Okay, well, there you go.
I'm focusing on one game.
Well, maybe, honestly, you're taking that as a brag when maybe that's part of the reason you're just kind of jaded. You watch this one team. You're not seeing all these other quarterbacks that are so much better than Tua.
Okay.
And it's just you see Tua in there. He looks like a small, scared little boy who just needs it to be perfect. And then even still, he missed Tyreek wide open a couple times.
Right.
Tua does not look fantastic.
Tua made the Pro Bowl 2 years ago. I'm just
and that was 2 years ago,
fact.
and he looks much different. And if you're going to sit there and say that watching Tua today, you can see him being the Tua of old, I disagree hard.
Okay. I didn't say that. I reminded you that he's pretty good when everything around him is going right.
Right. Well, I think a lot of quarterbacks are good when everything's going well.
Christopher, I want to thank you because you have prepared me for what I'm going to get from Le Batard Monday and Tuesday. Okay. You have prepared me because all you guys want to do is accentuate the negative, and that's the easiest thing to do at this point. I'm taking the hard road.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I'm taking the hard road.
Look, I appreciate that. Easy stance Cote has been a thing in the past. You're doing the thing now where, it's kind of playing.
You think wait a minute, time out.
No, he's saying that's been a thing in the past. You are taking the hard road now.
You are taking
it's about time is what
the
he's
hard stance, but I do think it kind of plays against you because it's such a homer stance that you don't get credit for the boldness of it because it just looks like a homer.
Okay.
You
have me in a no-win situation, which is fine. If I'm going to talk about,
I just think it's so obvious, Dad. It can be a thing where it's just that team doesn't look good, and anyone that's planting the flag and no, they're decent. It's just I don't know what you're watching. Maybe this turns around, but I just don't know how you're watching that performance even today and saying that's one of the good teams in this league because
I didn't say. Okay, don't put words in my mouth, which is what I really hate. I did not say that. Or write that.
The sky is falling, though. But the sky is falling.
After game one, I did not write that or say that. Okay. And when I say the sky is falling, I'm reflecting the massive overreaction of fans after game one.
Right.
I'm not saying it wasn't justified, but it was a massive overreaction. In this case, I'm not excusing an 0-2 start that's about to be 0-3. What I'm saying is, if you are looking for optimism, which everyone should be,
Right, they
unless
scored points today.
they're fatalists, the offense was hugely better than it was in the first game.
And they made them punt, I think, once or twice. Hey, we're getting better.
It's better than last week.
I'm telling you, there was this. I wish I had a video. You know what? My friend John has video in his house. I think I may get the video replay of the high fives. There was a room full of high fives when the Dolphins got a punt. It was midway. It was in the second quarter, and it was like, guys, the Dolphins have forced a punt. The first one all season. Deserved. And I walked around the room and I high-fived people.
That is absolutely deserved. The mockery
that is deserved. That's what we're talking about here.
Right. You're right. And I'm not bragging about the defense. What I'm saying is the offense was hugely better than it was in the first game.
But that's anything could be.
Yes, it's as I wrote, it's a low bar to leap.
Dad, I want to say, we do a lot of stuff around here, a lot of interviews. I rarely leave an interview that we do and feel as happy as I do, because we're about to toss to an interview with Ray Hudson.
Yeah.
And I love it. And Ray Hudson is delightful. He's retiring. He's one of the most legendary soccer broadcasters in soccer history. He's called Inter Miami games. He's called Messi games. He's called the biggest games in the world for years. And the way he talks, he's a delight.
He's great.
And I mean, I know you're close with him, and I know you, but I did not expect to enjoy this interview we're about to play as much as I did.
Yeah, and that impressed me to hear you say that, because, you're a little stingy with the compliments. And I mean that as a compliment, because when you say something like that, like, wow, that was great, I trust that was great, because you don't say it for everything.
We talk about who his favorite guys to call were, and as he does it, he goes through the list and he starts just describing them in a way only Ray Hudson could.
Yeah,
we go through some of his favorite of his calls, and he just starts just spitting them out.
Now you're doing the thing you criticize your dad for.
No, I am.
Let's tell everyone the whole interview and then go to the interview.
I am being Greg Cote right now, but that's how happy I am. You're right. That's hand up, coach. Ball out on me. That was. Thank you, Yeti, for that.
Okay, let's go to Rocky Ray Hudson right now. Okay, so let's get started. I'm excited about this because I've known this man a long time, Ray Hudson. We've sort of had almost parallel careers, because when you came over to the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, 17 years old, white as a milk bottle, I was rising in my business of journalism. The Fort Lauderdale Strikers were my first major beat. I mean, people who weren't around in the late 70s, early 80s don't realize how big the Strikers were, filling up Lockhart Stadium. Excited time, and you were one of my first guys who I got to know a little bit and interview and made headlines with. So, Ray, you've meant something personal to me throughout my career, and I'm really happy to have you on the podcast. Thank you.
All right, Greg. Lovely to be here with you. And we do go back a long time, and seen a lot of stuff, and did a lot of stuff back in the 70s and 80s. These people don't know. They're living, man. You got no idea. They think this is fun.
Well, I want to talk to you about the beginning and how it must have been to leave England and come to the States at age 17. But first, I want to move to the present, because everybody knows you've announced your retirement this week after a distinguished career in broadcasting for ESPN and Gold TV and beIN Sports, Sirius XM, Inter Miami, CBS Sports. I hope I'm not missing anything, but you've had a wonderful career leaning into a mic, entertaining people, making them laugh with some of your magisterial comments. How difficult was it to retire?
It was the hardest decision I've ever had to make in my professional life. Greg, it was tormentative, because CBS and Sirius were two of the most wonderful companies to work for. They made me offers I couldn't refuse, and I still refused them. They were incredibly insistent on, in a nice way, on me rejoining the system again and going on for another couple of years. But there was other situations, Greg, that I don't want to really go into right now. The more on a personal side that had a big effect on me. And so that part of it was decided with me and Joan, and we decided that this was the best thing. But no regrets, and just it was wonderful. But it was tormentatively hard to say no to such fantastic companies. The way they treated you, the professionalism of them, the people that we worked with, everyone around you. You've been in these situations when it's good, it's almost impossible to walk away. And I've been very, very lucky, bloody lucky to be in two jobs that it breaks your heart to leave. And that part of it is but I made the decision. They both were wonderfully accepting of it, and that's it.
Is the door ajar, just a crack? Might you reconsider in a couple of years if your situation is smiling upon that, or is this a final decision?
It's a wonderful question, Greg. Just this morning, I got calls from CBS to ask me to come on the show for the Champions League next Tuesday for the games with Mika Richards and Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher and Kate. And I said, I'd rather not. I'd just rather not. I didn't want to. I didn't want to have this valediction anyway, Greg. I just wanted to walk away through the back door. I just wanted to walk away and not have anything. But they said, you can't do that. You need to do this. And they implored me, and the releases went out, and the response was just absolutely unbelievable, overwhelming. And it was like I was drowning in a sea of love. Yeah. And the responses from all over the flipping world. Right. And I don't know how the hell they heard my calls, all those. It was the broadcasting thing more than anything else. Yeah. But it was staggering. That's the only word, staggering, on how much people responded in such a lovely, wonderful way. Yeah, that's very humbling, Greg. Very, very humbling. That's the only word that describes me feeling. It was a great pick me up in some ways, but even then it was complex because I thought, God, these people want you to be so many people. How can you do this? But I had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ray, we've been celebrating some of your great calls on the Dan Le Batard show that I also work for. And I just wonder, a lot of them are Messi. And have you ever got to meet Messi?
No, the closest that I came to was in Barcelona when they were playing Real Madrid, and it was all set up through the club. And I didn't want it. I didn't want to. I said I'd rather not, but they were insistent. This is part of your work. You have to do it. You never want to meet your heroes. Isn't that the whole line? I don't know why they say that. I mean, I was ready to meet Leo, but that particular day, the buzz started around all the hundreds of journalists and broadcasters that were there that day, and they said something's going on. I was supposed to meet with Leo after the practice session, and when they were like 20 minutes late coming out of the locker room, which was like. That was like an eclipse. It hardly ever happens. Yeah. So they knew something was up. Long story short, they came out, they did the practice. The guys came, the PR team came over and says, listen, we're not going to be able to do anything. Yeah. He's regimented. They'll be out of here and they'll be gone. So because the meeting was delayed, Guardiola had them in the locker room for 20 minutes longer, and that sidetracked everything. So that's the way.
My dad can relate to not getting to talk to Messi.
Yeah.
Yes, he's played here 4 years now or 3 years, and it seems like he's in a cocoon, and I get that.
No question.
But he's his own industry, that guy.
Absolutely. I had a good excuse, and it was all set, and I think it would have happened. But honestly, Greg, I'm not what am I going to say to him?
Right.
I don't want to speak Spanish.
Right.
He's doing it through an interpreter.
Yeah.
I gave them all. I said, I don't want to do this. I mean, what am I going to say? You know, yeah, you're small, aren't you? Or something like that. And he wouldn't get my sense of humor.
Right,
He'd walk away. So it would have been a disaster, you know? So, but you're right, Greg. I mean, Leo's got more protection around him than, the Pope. And you appreciate it and understand that for who he is, what he is, and where he's been and what he's achieved. And he doesn't do it out of arrogance. He's just a very insular, protected individual.
Yeah, and should be. Ray, I know your admiration for Messi, and you've certainly called his games and seen him in matches and described his beyond skill level. Sure. Who are the top 5 players that in your broadcasting career you have called their games, and who are the 5 that stand out? If you can put them in order, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll just take 5 names.
I think, obviously Leo is on a planet all on his own, for me. But the players that are here now, Sergio Busquets and Dani Alves and Suarez, those 3, I would circle around them all. Just stupefyingly magnificent players. Busquets is the one who's a different bird. A bird of paradise, the one during one game I called it the art of slow, because he's so languid. He's like, the smoke off a cigar. But if you don't get Busquets, I feel very sorry for you. I'm probably a bigger admirer of Busquets than I am even of Leo. And that is saying something in itself. I know. And
that's a surprise.
The massive majority of people don't get him, will never get him. And I feel sorry for them, because Busquets, I watched the Champions League final when they played against Manchester City. You forget how stratospheric his skill and touch was. But yeah, I think it's one of those situations, Greg, Chris, that I'm not putting myself above, the lad in the street, the regular fan, but you have to have had a grounding in the game to see the genius of Busquets. But Cristiano Ronaldo as well was another incredible opportunistic goal-scoring genius of the highest order. No question about it. I loved some of the defenders. The goalkeepers, Iker Casillas, for me, adored Iker Casillas in goal for Real Madrid. For me, the greatest goalkeeper Real Madrid has ever had. And for Spain as well, when he won the World Cup with Spain and he won the Euros on either side of a World Cup, as did Busquets, as did Iniesta and Xavi. All of these players, a top 5 is a very elusive target to hit, Greg. But I would lump all of them together, and the names that I've mentioned, just could go on and on. Dani Alves, as I said, was an incredible player. But Puyol at the back for Barcelona, Sergio Ramos, I got big kicks out of calling people like Pepe. What a nasty rat bait he was, I'm telling you. He was a nasty rat bait, but he was one hell of a defender. And incredible memories of calling those games. There was this once in 2011, Greg. I did 4 El Clasicos, 4 in 17 days in 2011.
Wow.
4. I nearly ended up in Holy Cross Hospital in an oxygen tent. I mean, and this was when Messi was at his best. Cristiano was at his best. Mourinho's Real Madrid was just bubbling with a witch's brew of football against Guardiola's greatest team of all time. And Phil and I were calling those games in, oh, God, like I say, oxygen tent stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's such a passion for you, such a love. I congratulate you on your retirement. At the same time, I'm sad that the soccer world is losing your voice, not your passion, but your voice to describe it. I wonder, Ray. I always thought the perfect marriage when Inter Miami started, let alone when Messi came a couple of years later, the perfect marriage would have been you calling Inter Miami games from the beginning and even still. Is there a simple answer to why that didn't transpire?
Yeah, I didn't want to travel anymore, Greg. Apple contacted me and tried to, negotiate a way through it. But I didn't respond because I didn't want to travel. It was the same thing with CBS when they first contacted me. They wanted me to fly up to the games, up to Connecticut, New York, to call the games from the studio. A man called Pete Radovich, who was the top man at CBS Sports, he moved the whole studio down here to Fort Lauderdale in order to get me. I could actually walk to Paramount Plus and CBS, and they did that for me. I know. I mean, just incredibly flattering. And me and Chris Wittyngham were doing the games, and now it's going to be Tony Meola, the brilliant, wonderful goalkeeper from the United States. Tony's going to be calling the games. But that was the reason. Yeah.
Wow. Ray, hearing you talk about Busquets before, like the smoke off a cigar, like I'm interested in your process. Like how brilliant you are with it. You'd think you have a writer's room of these are phrases. Like, are these all off the dome? Like, are you like what's your process for all these brilliant calls?
It's just life, Chris. It was just life. I had a wonderful father who used to read me Charles Dickens and go over the lines and do it with a bit of theatre in his voice. And I had the most wonderful English teacher called Sally Herdman, who, rest her soul, told me, Raymond, stretch the English language. Do you understand me, child? Stretch it. It will not break. Be expressive. Anything that you feel in your heart, you must release it. And this was during, one of the school plays, but little messages like that stuck with me. And it becomes a Rolodex, Chris. You'll be watching a Star Wars movie and think, oh man, that's a great line. Yeah. I'm going to steal that one. And bend it and, configure it. So I make no excuses. I stole from the best. Yeah. There's no question. But to come up with them on that instant, in that moment in time, when all the drama is going on inside of that booth and the moment calls for it, the depth of that Rolodex within your mind is spinning, and you got to nail the right one. You got to try to nail the right one around it. You try to frame the magic of these players and do them all justice, because just saying, "Oh, that was brilliant, brilliant, brilliant." Yeah, we've heard that before. Yeah. Tell me something new. Give me a different expressive, will you, please? Yeah. But hey, listen, Chris, Greg, we know it's my bombastic way. It was never the way for the 100% of people, and that's okay. For the majority of people, and I know that because I have absolute vivid truth in stacks of instances, that was the gang I wanted to be with. Those people at the end of that bar that are having a party, that's my crowd. Yeah. Those guys that want, oh, that was brilliant. It was just a wonderful pass. Right.
Wonderful ball.
Those guys are at the end of the bar with empty glasses and they're grumpy, and I don't want to be with them. So that's it.
Do you have 2 or 3 where you listen back to them and you're like, that one I nailed?
Yeah. Well,
you probably more than 2 or 3. There's a million.
There's a multitude of them. Yeah. Sloppy as a soup sandwich. I remember saying that when there was a little bit of miscontrol by somebody sharper than a witch's tooth. Yep. That came from the Wizard of Oz or something. Yeah. And it was, in that moment where you actually strike it and it comes out.
What was the one with the shark's dentist?
Yeah. He needs help like a shark needs a dentist. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
But the one that, It was so ridiculous.
Yes.
And yet, Chris, people identified with it and continued to identify. Like what, the amount of people from all of these 24, 25 years of my commentary where they come, my wife doesn't watch any other games if you're not on, or my daughter, or my, if it's that guy, you would tune in.
Yeah.
Just for the entertainment value. But it's not for everyone. And you can never have everybody. I mean, Jesus Christ, God bless him, he had somebody that said, I don't like this guy. Are you kidding? If Judas was that, anybody can be. So I always look at that. But there was some wonderful moments that cracked poor Phil Shane up and put him, doubled up with some of the stuff that come out. And my best one, I think, my best comment, my best segment was when Leo Messi scored a goal against Atletico Bilbao in San Mamés in the old stadium. And I said, in describing this was my Mona Lisa for me. It's the one that I go back and I say, you did good there, Rock. You did good. And I said, the hesitation. He holds, he hesitates, he dispenses his atoms. He dispenses his atoms on one side of this defender and collects them on the other. And where this comes from again, it's just it's taken, it's such a trip inside my head when we were calling those games, and there just weren't any other players, Chris. These weren't just the regular run-of-the-mill players. We'll never see these lads again. Right. You'll never see these players again. We all think, well, yeah, everybody always says that, the good old days and all this. The game's changing. Kids playing are changing. They're not as dedicated. They're not as, single-minded and committed. It's just the way of life. The game has changed. It becomes so much more athletic and dynamic and much more focused tactically. And the individual expressionism of the players, I think, is starting to fade a little bit, sadly. And we've got the poetry of these players that we said before. Those wonderful artisans.
Well, Ray, bless your father and your English teacher for instilling the poetry in you and the willingness to stretch the language and have fun with it and make people think and smile.
Dad, you credit your English teacher for you becoming a writer. So it really, like, teachers, how about teachers, huh?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Big time, Chris.
And you know what, Ray, I think you might agree. You only need one, right? Yeah. There's going to be, I think almost everyone has that one teacher who meant something in their lives, not just for that year. Sure. And it's special.
Yeah, it was a real love affair. Sally Hoodman was like about 65 when I was, 10-year-old. So it wasn't like a heartthrob thing. Right. Sally wasn't the best looking lady, let's be honest. Right. She'd stop a clock with that face. So, but I was a little bit of a pet, I think.
Yeah.
There was just one lesson I remember saying, Raymond, you are my ray of sunshine. I went, oh God. I got killed for that. Imagine. I got slated in the playground. Oh, my sunshine, my sun. Here comes sunshine.
That's hilarious. By the way, as an aside here, I have to mention, how rare is it that I am in the company of two people, both of whose middle names are Wilfred?
Wonderful old name. Name, but it's a wonderful name.
My grandfather.
I think it's starting to make a reappearance as well, believe it or not. I was very self-conscious when at school.
Me too.
I know. When you went into your first class on the first day, they would read your name out. Raymond Wilfred Hudson, and everybody would...
Right.
Everybody would laugh.
Christopher can relate.
I used to tell kids it was Williams. And then as I got older, I appreciated it more. But when I was
absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, my own father's first name was Wilfred, but he was called Bill. he grew up as Bill to his friends and everything. But at any rate, Ray, I want to go back to the beginning for just a minute because it's hard to fathom. You were playing for Newcastle United at age 17 in the English Premier League, First Division. And after only a few years, all of a sudden you're going across the world to South Florida. And how did that happen? And how receptive were your parents to the fact that you, as a teenager, were leaving home to go God knows where?
Right. At 17 is when I became what they call an apprentice professional in England, in Newcastle. It was a full-time job, but it was slave labor is what it was. You were learning the game, but you were also, there was like 10 of us that would be sweeping the stands, would be cleaning the grounds, the toilets and everything. It was part of your education. You played you trained 3 hours in the morning, you had 2 hours off, and then you were back in the afternoon. But you was with Newcastle United. This was like Real Madrid or Barcelona to a kid from Newcastle. So I was signed. I made a very early, quick impression with the team, but we had a good team at the time. Newcastle were a top 10 team consistently in the call it the First Division then, the English Premier League now. But there were so many good internationals in the team. It was tough. It was hard. It was almost impossible for you to get into the team. But each year I'd make more and more appearances, selective appearances. They were bleeding me in like they did with everybody. But it's still, if there was an injury, you'd get in. The crowd loved me. I had long blonde hair. I was a touch player, a skill player. I wasn't a runner. I was languid and lazy, but that was part of the process, and I was developing, and they knew it, and they wanted me to keep on developing. And this particular time, it coincided with the advancement of the North American Soccer League when Pele was here, of course, and the big surge in interest in the game then. And they were looking for there was a team, and I was playing in a reserve game for Newcastle at a place called Preston, North End. It was pissing down with rain. It was 6 inches of mud on the pitch. I had a poor game. There was like 200 people there watching, but one of those 200 people was a scout who was a gentleman who the strikers had hired to bring some young talent, just to have a team, to put a team together. So they found, he came and met with me after the game, and he said, "How would you like him?" And I said, "Yeah, I love him. I was into Americana, loved everything about America, the Great Lakes, Woodstock, Tamla Motown, skyscrapers, the women in California, Miami Beach, everything, James Bond was into Miami, everything." So the guy, I says, "Yeah, I'd love to come to America in the off season, once the English season had finished." And he said, "Well, there's a team called Fort Lauderdale Strikers, and they would be very interested in getting you. So as long as you're ready, I'll contact Newcastle and we'll see if we can get a deal done." So he says, "Where's this place anyway?" Fort Lauderdale sounded like, an Indian outpost out of Dances with Wolves. So he says, "No," he says, it's Fort Lauderdale. He says, "Just outside of Miami." I says, "Oh, I'm in. I'm there." Perfect. And that was it. My mum and dad, my mum was more upset than anything, my little boy leaving the nest and everything.
Right.
But my dad knew that it was a great step, and especially with the growth of the game even then. And this was the year before the Big Bang, where our Fort Lauderdale Strikers played the New York Cosmos in front of nearly 80,000 people. We got caned, of course, we got hammered, but that was the Big Bang. That was when everybody realized this thing's going to actually take off, and it did. And then Major League Soccer came in and expanded it out of all recognition and continued to do so. But that's that. My father came over, watched me every time, the season. He came over and loved the game. And our great strikers team became better and better under Joe Robbie and Elizabeth Robbie and Tim Robbie, the general manager, with all the world stars that we had: Elias Figueroa, George Best, Gerd Muller, Teofilo Cubillas.
Nene.
Van Beveren, the goalkeeper. We were star-studded, but every team was star-studded. So it was a blast.
Yeah.
And that was it. I ain't going back to Newcastle. I'm sorry.
Well,
after spring break as well. Spring break?
Oh, spring break.
Christopher's nightclub? Are you kidding me?
Oh, well, I'm not going to ask you for any details of Ray Hudson at age 20 during spring break. We won't get into.
I'd like to know. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned Chris Wittyngham before, and I want to preface this by saying he's a good friend of mine, Chris Wittyngham. So me and you, I feel like, can shoot him straight. He needs to expand that English language a little bit more, huh? A little too much brilliant from Chris Wittyngham.
You see, I think not the limitations. This is a polished broadcaster.
Oh yeah.
He's absolutely brilliant.
I'm teasing. He's awesome.
I know you are, Chris, but he understands the game. He breathes the game. He has appreciation of the deftness of the touch and the athleticism and the gladiatorial spirit of the game. And during a play-by-play, just like Phil Shane and so many, Andres Cordero, another one that get it and give me the space to do what I do.
Yeah.
And through the producers who direct that, just let them do it, just let them go.
Yeah.
These guys were a wonderful baseboard with me to do that. And Chris Wittyngham is as good as there is in this country, and I would argue and stand his corner in any country. He makes the game interesting, and he puts the game over, and I'd carry Chris Wittyngham spit bucket any day.
Having said all of that, can you admit that it is so absurd that he will not admit he is wrong about the Florida Panthers? He said for 2 years that it's a bad decision to trade for Matthew Tkachuk. They've won back-to-back titles. Can we at least eviscerate him for that?
Absolutely. He needs to be roasted on a spit for saying that.
Thank you.
And I'll stick the apple in his mouth. But
there you go.
Listen, we all get it wrong, sometimes it happens, but our teams are on the up and up, or it seemed to be before the Dolphins kicked off.
I was just about to say, do you have what are your American sports that you follow the most down here in South Florida?
All of them, but none of our teams. None of our teams.
Okay.
It's always been the Detroit teams.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they've sucked. They've been the worst for years and years, and now we're finally flying, and we're on the escalator on the up and up with the Tigers and the Lions.
Some people are saying that the Lions' window may have closed last year with Ben Johnson leaving.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But listen, the reason that all the Detroit's on my team is because of my dad, because of Wilf.
Yeah.
Because he worked for Ford Motor Company in Dagenham, and that was putting literally the bread on our table. And he used to tell me these great stories of this man, Henry Ford. We know now he's got a different type of history in some regards, but on the culture that he developed in with the line of building cars and how it exported around the world. And he'd teach me about where did you come from, this Henry Ford? This is the place here, Detroit. And look at those lakes. Look at the size of those lakes, Raymond. This is what they call that. He says the Great Lakes. He says they're bigger than all of England and Scotland and Wales and Ireland put together.
Wow.
And I'm like, no way. And he said, yeah, That's where Detroit is.
That's awesome.
Wow. Now, did you also become a fan of Motown music? Were you singing Supreme songs?
Don't even start. Are you kidding me? That's on my X page, on the Twitter page is Marvin Gaye. What's going on? I've got a picture of him right here above me.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Marvin was my favorite of all time. What's going on? The greatest album of all time. And I'll fight a Bengal tiger in the dark with that statement. I mean, the greatest album of all time. And it consistently gets named number one of all time, above Sgt. Pepper's, above every other. Yes, it's always. But it was Tamla Motown, all the Berry Gordy stable. The not just the Supremes, the Temptations of Four Tops. That songwriting team was just unbelievable. And
wow, I actually met Marvin Gaye once. Not too long before he died. He happened to be at spring training in Fort Lauderdale at Yankee spring training, and I think he knew one of the players or something, and I got to meet him, and that was before selfies were invented. So I actually got his autograph. So that was pretty cool. I tell
you, man, the opening, the opening, the intro of what's going on, the album and the track is the Detroit Tigers. He brought the Detroit Tigers baseball team in to do the hey man, what's happening? This is a groovy party, man. Yeah, get down and all of that. I'm doing it, and that's my worst American accent. I'm sorry, I'm majority.
I love it.
But that Marvin brought them all in, and his love for baseball was well known. I loved that man. I loved everything about him.
Ray, when I think of the lineage of professional soccer in South Florida, the lineage that led to Inter Miami being able to sign the biggest player on the planet, I put you near the front of the line because you played on a team full of aging global stars, but you were the young guy. You were the guy just coming into his prime, and dare say the best player on a team with Nene Cobias. I mean, it's and that's me saying it. I don't want you to brag, but I think you're that important in the lineage of South Florida pro soccer. And
Thanks,
before
Greg.
and in between that and your broadcasting career, I think it's not spoken enough that you had some success as a coach. Your 2001 Miami Fusion team had the best record in the league, won the Supporter Shield. So congrats on that. That was a brief coaching career, but it was eventful. Sure. And so I can't thank you enough, Ray. We're going to let you go. I appreciate you. I appreciate your career, and I'm going to ask you something. And I'm asking you live on the air, so I'm putting you on the spot. But if, as we get close to the World Cup next summer, we could get back with you for an occasional commentary on that, that would be wonderful.
Greg, if I'm here, I'll be happy to. I have some plans to get the hell out of here during the World Cup, to be honest with you.
Hey, guy's retiring, Dad, and you're like, hey, can you come do work for us? Like, Chris, what is this?
No, that's fair enough. If I am here, Sirius want me to do a few things with them down here in Miami as well. Some big parties.
One pop-in tops, Ray. Don't even.
So,
my dad's rude. I don't like that he did that.
No, it's all right, because I said to Sirius as well that if I'm here, Joan and I don't take off to get out of the maelstrom that it's going to be, then I will absolutely happily do it, Greg. Loved you. I loved your work. And like I say, we were both developing our professions, polishing it up. But it was fantastic in those days. And I remember the trips that we used to make. You were always on the team playing with us. And, the reporting was always top draw. And it was great seeing you climbing up that ladder of your success, and no BS. It was great, and that part of it is meaningful, that we've both been around our town. Our town. It's not Lionel Messi's town, because he'll be gone soon, and so many of the others will be gone. But this is our town. It will always be our town, and I am proud to be a Floridian, and I'm proud to have Fort Lauderdale as my town, and to be associated with the great city of Miami as well. We are so privileged and fortunate to live in the Venice of America. Different class.
There you go. Rocky Ray Hudson, the original and greatest number 4. Thank you for joining us. Wonderful career. Much appreciation. Live well.
Thank you, Greg. And thanks, Chris, man. Good luck.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ray.
Thanks,
Great,
Ray.
lads.
Honestly,
All
Ray,
right.
this was
Appreciate
great. This was fantastic, Ray. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Super, enjoyed it.
Let me buy you a pint or two sometime, would you?
All right. Let's see
Okay.
if I said to Chris, after they've done a game or something, maybe we can, filter across down to where the Twin Peaks place is, a nice sports bar down there, right around the corner.
I'm gonna text Whittingham. We should get together for a pint. That'd be awesome.
Let's do it.
Sounds good. All right.
Let's do it.
All
Great.
right. Adios,
Ray.
lads. You're
Thanks.
welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I genuinely thought that was fantastic.
Great. I'm glad.
I enjoyed that a lot.
Like I did too, but to hear you say it is special. And I know you mean it because I'm not saying you're, tough with a compliment, but for you to say something like that tells me that it was fantastic. That I wasn't just feeling good about it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he
good.
was like when he started talking about Busquets and stuff, like that was like we got some vintage like I thought the story about I thought it was all really good.
Yeah. No, I did too. He's wonderful.
All right, I gotta run though.
Okay, good. We'll finish up Sunday night.
Okay.
Early Sunday evening.
Dad, I love that interview. I want to hear. I know you have things you want to say about Ray Hudson, but first, I want you to do 3 facts, Jack, and dad jokes as fast as you've ever done them. Right now, go.
Oh, you want me to do those right now?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Dad jokes.
He's always kind of thinking that his puns are in vogue. He cracks himself up like an egg with a yolk. And now Chris's morale is broke. Dad jokes.
Do I have to talk as fast as Adnan Virk? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay. Number 3. Why was the snake coughing?
It was snake bitten. I don't know.
He had a frog in his throat. Number 2. What is the... That's not bad.
That's
I got to laugh.
Funnier when you do it fast.
That's decent.
Okay. Number 2. What is the most terrible kind of cat?
I don't know.
A catastrophe. Number 1.
These are funny or fast.
Number 1. What story combines science and Christianity?
I don't know.
Adam and Eve. ATOM. For those not spelling at home. 3 facts, Jack.
That was dumb.
Thank you. 3 facts, Jack.
There are 3 things that interest him, so sit right back for 3 facts, Jack.
Number 3. The smallest bird in the world, the bee hummingbird, weighs less than a U.S. penny.
You sounded like a hummingbird while doing that.
Thank you. Number 2. The last U.S. president to wear a top hat to his inauguration was John F. Kennedy in 1961.
And the next guy was like, all right, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Number 1. Plastic takes 450 years to decompose. Okay. I want to tell you real quick why the Hudson interview was emotional for me. Number 1, first, he was our first guest ever on our episode number 2, I think, in 2020. And that's one of the reasons. So now we went full circle with him and had him as he's retiring. But the other thing is, and I don't think this is a secret with anybody who knows me and maybe with everybody who cares and knows my age, my own internal debate about retiring is raging. Like it's constantly on my mind. How much longer am I going to do this? How much longer am I going to write for the Herald?
You mean writing, because you'll never give this up.
Well, I mostly think writing, but the fact that Ray Hudson, who's about my age, a few months younger, the fact that he just did it is just a slap at me going, wow, okay, all right, Ray retired, why can't I? Or why shouldn't I? And I just don't know the right way to do it, the right time to do it. It's a real internal struggle with me. So talking to Ray about that a little bit was sort of both heartwarming and unsettling, because I continue not to have a firm plan on when I'm going to retire.
And it's interesting because you have done what he did towards the end of his career without even, I don't even know if you've noticed it. You don't travel as much as you used to. You used to travel for tons of stuff. And like him, like you've gotten to the point where you're like, yeah, I'll still do this, but I want to do it here.
Right.
So, and then now he went from that step to.
Right. I want to put a bow on the soup controversy from the Le Batard show last week, because I am accusing the Le Batard show of pro wrestling like having a prefabricated outcome of that so-called soup cook-off. I think it was intended all along to have Mike Ryan win. I think that was known going into the show. I don't think I ever had a chance. And further, this is like Greg Cote finds out, GCFO. I am hereby accusing Mike Ryan of using a Hello Fresh recipe from 2022.
Otherwise known as Hello Fresh.
What did I say?
You like hello.
Hello Fresh.
Okay, whatever.
You put a weird emphasis.
Okay, and based on the title of that recipe, his recipe not only didn't include a coconut flavor, but also it didn't include a ginger flavor.
Hey, he changed it. That look, I'm Team
that's
Greg
why,
on
Dad,
this, but that like it's a recipe.
Yeah, Dad, we called him out on air that next day for doing that, and he pulled up the HelloFresh thing, and he's like, "Mine didn't have this in it," so he was using that as like a reason of like him saying, "Look, I didn't use this recipe because mine didn't have ginger in it."
You can start with a base, and then you Dad, add your own flair. That's the least egregious of the things. Greg.
As much as I'd like to throw stones for that, I've seen Greg Cote print out recipes almost every Sunday night for the last 3 decades.
Well, just to remind me.
That's okay.
Okay, Chris Cote, executive producer of the Le Batard show. Are you denying that the soup verdict was predetermined?
Yes. Dad, the only thing that was like, hey, let's make this interesting. So the 3 first people voting, me, Billy, and Jeremy, like that was never going to be 3-0. Okay? Right. That's the only thing I'll give you. We were going to get it to that room 2-1. All right? That's what I'll admit.
Okay.
So whatever Dan and Zaslow did with it, like that, there was Dad, when is the level? Like we've never before a show been like, all right, I'm going to do this and this is how you're going to vote. Like,
Greg, I'll even say, I love you more than most people in this entire world. A Thai soup is higher on my list, like especially if it's got a little bit of sweetness to it. It's going to be higher because I'm such a sugar fiend, higher on my list than a more savory soup. I'm sure I would love because I love a good lentil soup, your sausage and lentil. I would have been more leaning toward the Thai soup just naturally because I enjoy a curry soup. Those are my favorite soups.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying there weren't shenanigans. I'm just saying even myself,
right?
I might have been leaning more toward a curry soup because that's my favorite.
Okay. Also, I want to announce that I have retired from any form of cooking on the Le Batard show. That will never happen again. I will continue to cook occasionally on my own podcast, as I did a few weeks ago, but no longer.
Here's what you should do. You are due for another Cooking with Cote. You should do your sausage and lentil soup for the next installment of Cooking with Cote, maybe even next week.
I might do that. One final thing. We come out Tuesday or Monday. If you're listening to this on Monday or Tuesday, pay attention. On Tuesday, September 16th, from 6 to 8 p.m., if you live in Miami or if you have silly expendable money and you want to fly in real quick, we're going to be at Sports and Social, a sports bar in the Dolphin Mall, to talk Dolphins and Hurricanes, along with 2 or 3 other Herald writers. So join us then.
You said we're. Who's we're?
Yeah.
It's going to be like as many as 3 other writers and maybe only 1 or 2 other writers.
Can I be frank for a second?
Yeah, Frank, how you doing?
Like, I would encourage any local person to check this out. Like, honestly, if you're interested in Miami sports, my dad, and you're local, even in like Boca, a good hour trip, no big deal. Do not fly in for this. Like my dad just said, if you have a lot of money, fly in for this.
There's a good chance there's 1 or 2 people.
That's what I mean. Like we do these things, and we've had events where someone's like, I flew in for this, and save it for something else.
Okay.
The Le Batard show is doing like a Halloween theme somewhere. We're going to be doing some watch along somewhere for that. That will be better to fly in for than this. My dad will be at that. My dad will be at that too.
The first time hearing about it, I'm going to have a pocket full of Greg Cote show decals to give away for free.
Like, no one else will be there.
How about that?
You are a catch, but like it's not. There's no Le Batard show people there. It's just Greg.
Well, that's why I'm
Jordan McPherson.
Okay, if I can go off the record here for a second, I've been privately begging Christopher to show up just to support me for this thing, and he refuses to do it.
My wife works out on Tuesday evenings.
Okay, bring Graceland.
No.
Okay. All right, we'll negotiate this later. All right, Pod family, thank you as always. Thank you, Ray Hudson, a longtime friend of ours. 45 years or so I've known this guy, and I was thrilled to give him a little farewell platform here just to reminisce and all that stuff. So thanks, Ray. Thank you, Pod family, and we'll see you all next week.